Hello, and welcome to episode 233 of Flix and a Six, the only podcast where our net worth is measured in empty beer bottles. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Costanzo. With me forever and always, the man, the myth, the summit of sophistication, Alessandro Biolsi. Say hello, Al.
I totally forgot to open my note page.
The summit of sophistication. On this week's episode, Mel Brooks proves he's immortal. The Lighthouse Guy tackles Dickens because why not traumatize children? Wonder Woman returns because DC can't help themselves. Hollywood slowly remembers that people like movies, and we discuss some trailers, all before the recount of the story of some tech pros having the world's worst sleepover when we dive into our flick of the week, Mountainhead. But first, Al, what are we drinking?
We have the return of Czig Meisters.
Craig Meister.
Craig Meister. So what I was saying to you before, I decided to cut myself off on was, doesn't Czig Meister totally sound like it would have been like one of those like late 90s, early 2000s, like bro-y, either nicknames or like insults or something like that that we would have had, like, hey, it's the Czig Meister.
The man, the Czig Meister.
We might have done this the last time. I don't remember, but that was what I was just thinking right now as I was looking at it. So we have Czig Meister returning. This is the Sunset Sherbet. It's part of the...
I don't know why the way you say Sherbet makes me happy.
Well, this is a word I've always struggled with because my brain wants to say sorbet. It's not sorbet. I think most people pronounce... Remember how last week we were talking about how to spell like the words like cummerbund, and there was another one. Yeah, John Bernthal. That's what it was. Bernthal. I feel... How would you say this word?
Sherbet.
Exactly. Most people do. Anthony, how many R's are in that word?
One.
And I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but that's how it's spelled.
I mean, I think that's probably correct.
Right?
There's no way that it's there's not like, it's like like the silent letter. There's no way that there's invisible letters.
Hidden R.
You forgot the invisible R.
So, listen, I am not one to second guess Maggie Smith on anything. And with how aggressive, I'm pretty sure she's Irish. Her accent is in that one Harry Potter when she says, she really rolls the multiple R's in Sherbet Lemon when she's doing the password to Dumbledore's office. But I don't think there's an R that's supposed to be in that word, Anthony. I don't.
Let's find out. Is this like a color thing? Spelled differently in other places?
No, I'm pretty sure this is the correct spelling of the word. But it's one of those like Mandela effect things where everyone pronounces it as if there's another R in there.
It's unbelievable, yeah.
So this is from the Sundial series. It's a fruited sour ale. This was conditioned on raspberry, passion fruit, tangerine. You weren't looking up at the screen. I pointed to you. There you go. Anytime I've ever said tangerine on this show, you always sing it, and this is the one time.
I was hung up on the hidden R.
I know. I put it to you on the screen and everything, hoping you would at least pick up in case you didn't think of it yourself and you totally missed it. You were looking at the script.
I spelt it wrong, like intentionally, like the way that I want to say it, and Google didn't even try to help me out with like other people recognizing the fact that it's insane that there's no extra R in there. It's just
are we the first two people to discover this?
It and it was fine. And I was like, hey,
it's like carry on. Anyway, sorry. Conditioned on raspberry, passion fruit, tangerine, key lime, with vanilla and lactose. It's a fruited sour ale of 6.2% alcohol by volume. They encourage us to master your craft. Our sour ale.
We're trying, man. We're trying.
Our sour ale. Our sour ale series pays homage to the sundial, a beautiful and precise tool that measures time using shadows cast by the sun. The brewing process for sours is far more time-intensive than traditional styles, but the wait is worth it. Each brew features a variety of fruits and flavors to create ever-evolving profiles that celebrate all seasons and make any time a good time for a sour. Sunset Sherbet is conditioned... Oh, this is the same thing again. Never mind.
I like this concept of it takes longer. It's like, because you got to wait for it to go bad and then sell it for more money. That's how sour things work.
I mean, kind of, yeah.
It's like... like certain types of cheese. It's like the cheese has gone bad, or we could sell it for more money.
We have infected this cheese on purpose to make it better.
All right, Czig Meister. Let's get first off. Can art is on point.
Yes.
I dig it. You
There's
know
a
how I feel
sundial.
about good can art.
Confirmed.
We got sundial. The Zodiac dial is pretty sick too. I like that.
Oh,
And,
on the side of the can.
Yeah,
Got some suns and stars.
Sucker taste. I'm ready. It smells very berry. Very berry. Like to the point where I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm actually gonna like it because I usually don't care for the taste that goes along with that specific berry smell, but we'll see what happens.
It's a fruited
Cheers.
sour. Cheers.
You're a fruited sour.
It definitely tastes like tangerine.
Fruited, and it is sour.
It definitely tastes like tangerine. I did not expect that to stand out so much, but it's there.
Yeah, but it's kind of like the hidden R because like all I'm smelling is the berries, but all I'm tasting is the tangerine.
I'm mostly tasting tangerine.
Yeah, that's pretty. Ooh, it's got a nice little zinginess on the tongue there.
It's probably
alive.
Probably the.
It's probably because it's gone bad.
I feel alive for the first time.
Okay. All right. I like it. I'm definitely feeling all of the mouthfeels that go along with lactose.
Oh yeah.
The vanilla I think I got on that second one. The raspberry is mostly on my nose, and the tangerine and the lime are in my face.
I didn't really notice I have to be honest, I don't think I've ever had a key lime, actually. Never had key lime pie. I've always been wary.
I do like a key lime pie.
I've always been wary of meringue.
It seems like what a turn of phrase.
I realized it as I was saying. I was like, I think I got gold on this one.
Yeah. I just don't trust it.
It's like those. You remember the old the Dos Equis commercials, "The Most Interesting Man in the World," where it's like, he finds squirrels untrustworthy or something.
Yeah. I have this like. There was something about the beer that was reminding me of something that I had when I was younger, and I'm pretty sure it's like a sour bubblicious.
Okay,
and that's kind of what I've got going on here. I like it. This is not like specifically my style of drink that I would normally go and choose, but I do enjoy one every once in a while, and I'm glad that you chose it.
It's nice to have one or two. I think we needed something to spruce things up. It's been raining for like 3 straight weeks.
Yeah,
we don't live in
wet.
We don't live in Seattle. We don't live in Ireland. It's too much rain. We're done. It's June. I'd like to see the sun again. I'd like to consider going in the pool or, God knows, going to the beach. But that's been like, once we turn to June, I'd like to start looking for a beach day a month at least.
Beach day, yeah, of course.
It's been like 65 and raining every weekend. So. Yeah,
it's been pretty brutal. I've been wanting to sit outside, clean off the patio furniture, but it's well, I finally did it the one day that it was nice. I got rid of the nasty cover that was on everything that failed me this winter, and like half of the stuff was exposed anyway. So then I was going to let all of that stuff dry out, and then I was going to go back and clean it up. And every day since then it's rained. So I mean, I guess it's getting washed.
Just sprinkle some soap out there and then let nature do its course.
Just like sprinkle baking soda over everything,
or that, whatever.
I think that'll actually probably do it. All right, it happened again. There's something. So my computer is set to do the whole like when it's nighttime go into dark mode thing, and I guess it decides that at 9:23 it's nighttime now. Because this happened last time we were recording too, and it really caught me by surprise.
At the same time, 9:23.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it was like maybe tied to like the official quote unquote sunset. It would have been perfect for our sunset dial Sherbet, but yeah, no, and good beer. How many thuckles?
Sherbet and the weary meringue.
Wary
meringue. Sorry.
Is this an off-brand Harry Potter? Sunset Sherbet and the wary meringue. It's like the perfect naming convention for all those books.
It works. It works for me. What are you going? Where are you going thuckle wise on this one?
I'm happy to go 2 thuckles here. Just
2 thuckles. That feels right.
Yeah.
Two Thuckles feels good. Thank you for bringing the Czig Meister into my life.
Yeah.
Not sure how I feel about the whole relearning Sherbet, but whatever. Let's get into some news and nuggets.
I was going to say, this is a beer and movies and grammar podcast.
Is it an orchard or a grove? Spaceballs 2 is
yeah, I'm sorry for trampling all over your intro because I saw that trailer. I think I sent it to you. Totally forgot to add that to my notes. I said I got 2 trailers. I lied. Just like the hidden R, there was a hidden third trailer.
Hidden third trailer. You can't see it, but it's there, baby. So after decades of rumors, Mel Brooks confirmed that Spaceball 2 is officially in development with a Christmas 27 release date.
I do remember that they had something about a release date, and I forgot that it was that far out. I was actually thinking it was next year.
I don't, even if it's not good, I'm like proud of the fact that it's happened.
If they successfully concluded making this movie, he will be 100 years old when it comes out. I'm pretty sure he's 98.
100. He's 99, isn't he?
Oh, is he? I thought he was 98. Either way,
he may be 101 years old.
He will be at least 100 years old.
Yeah. What a way to do it.
Yeah. And I did like that it was him at the end talking about it. I did like that he was wearing Spaceballs, the sweatshirt.
Yep.
In honor of this, on Sunday for Father's Day, we watched Spaceballs. It's been a while since I'd seen it.
Oh, God. I have not seen it in a long time, but man, do I love that movie.
Yeah.
Just what a treasure. Right. And then also, I think just like some cool facts, right? Like, like what we just mentioned, right? 99 plus years old.
Yeah.
Rick Moranis coming out of like retirement to do this.
Mostly retirement, because I think he's done 1 or 2 commercials. Because he did that. He did a commercial with Ryan Reynolds for the cell phone company.
Right.
And that was the whole thing. It's like, oh, we even got Rick Moranis, even though he's like hasn't acted in however long or whatever. But like, the things he's done, he's like maybe done like 1 or 2 little voice acting things, and then he's done like a commercial or 2, and like that's it. He hasn't like actually been an actor in like 30 years.
Right. I just love the respect that Mel Brooks has kind of garnered. Like, just like, I feel like I feel like if he asks, they come. Like,
well, he kind of in his way, he's kind of sort of, if not then certainly one of the main like godfathers of modern comedy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you look at the guys who are currently running comedy, and like at least in television and movies, I'm not saying like stand up necessarily, but television and movies, they're all like in awe of this guy. I mean, look at the History of the World show that they did. I forgot. Did you end up actually watching it?
I didn't. No.
Like, Nick Kroll and Ike Barinholtz basically made that show. I mean, Mel Brooks was involved with it, but he didn't do any of the acting. I just don't know how much he can do at this point. Sure. I think he was involved in like the high level like writing and stuff like that, and he narrated a bunch of like interstitial stuff, but he wasn't like actually in the show. He might have had 1 scene. But it was literally it was Kroll and Barinholtz who did all of that. Like, those guys desperately wanted to work with him because they like loved his stuff so much.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I know, and Josh Gad was heavily involved in that too, wasn't he, or no? I know that he is in this.
I actually forgot. Now, is that official that he's in this?
Producing, I think.
Okay, so he might have been part of that as well then.
Yeah, that's got to be so cool. I'm excited to see what they do.
The whole main cast, like everyone who's still alive, is back.
Yeah, they're going to bring in Pullman's son.
Which I did not know that was his son.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that name and I was like, I know that name. And I saw his face. I was like, the guy from Top Gun in the Thunderbolts movie? I was like, I had no idea that was his son.
Yeah. I only recently did I learn this. But to see that they're going to do that, I think it's kind of cool. I don't know. I'm excited. I think, we have to wait a year and a half. I think it'll be well worth the wait. It'll be really fun to get back into that. I hope it has the same emotional impact that going back to see Star Wars had. I think that it will.
I don't know if it'll be to that level, but I'm excited to go back and see. I mean, what was the last actual thing he made? Was it The Producers?
I don't know.
Was he involved? Actually, was he even involved with that? The remake that came out like 20 years ago?
The remake? I don't know.
Because I know he did the original one.
Yeah, I actually forgot there was a remake.
Yeah, it was Matthew Broderick and was it Nathan Lane?
Yes.
I've never actually seen either one of them, but I do remember that.
I own it. Mel Brooks is staring at you all the time.
Well, I know you've got the whole collection,
show,
right?
But yeah, but I haven't actually watched that one.
You know, we had talked about actually when we were watching Spaceballs. Is I always forget because it's like a bit after all the other ones, but the Leslie Nielsen vampire one that I always forget the name.
Oh my god, what a Dracula Dead and Loving.
That's it.
What a gem.
Never saw it. I've never seen a single scene from it. I don't think.
What a mess they make. I used to watch that movie with my buddy Patrick in grade school on repeat.
Really?
It was It's a gem. It's ridiculous. You should check it out. it's
I actually probably will get around to it one of these years.
That's a really fun movie. But yeah, no, so that's happening. I'm pretty pumped about it. Then I saw I was like going through some movie news. I saw that pop back. I was like re-jog my memory because we had watched the trailer when you sent it over, and then I was like, oh great, let's see what else we got. What else is on the list? And I was like, Wonder Woman 2 in development. I mean, Wonder Woman 3 or Wonder Woman in development. I was like, guys, what are you doing? And then I was like, I forget that like James Gunn is like starting his universe and like it will be separate. But also like for some reason, I feel like they're still cagey in those responses that I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, I think it's more about not wanting to like commit to anything, but like if it's like in development, like you're gonna have to start committing to things,
right? You would think.
I think he just wants. They still haven't put anything out yet, right? Any of the movies that have come out were like the last dregs of the other movies, like right.
Well, Superman is that's
like the first actual thing that's coming out.
Yeah, that's in a couple weeks, right?
Yeah, it's like July 11th, I think. Yeah. I ought to know because there's enough commercials for it.
Why is that movie not coming out on the 4th of July?
I don't know. I mean, I love movies, but and even though like I want to see this, I would never go see this on the 4th of July.
No, neither would I. But they like to play their games of like, well, opening night is actually the opening 3 weeks because we juked the stats, so they can pull it off.
I mean, I think they just want to do a summer blockbuster, and it's like, you know, we don't want any excuses if people are like, oh, it's a really nice weather and it's a Friday.
I can get behind that.
I think it's a big deal that July 4th is a Friday because it's like 3-day weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, the 11th makes sense. Everyone's, you know, whether it's rain or shine, you know, you can go in, see that at that time. There's no other major release at this time, right?
I am super excited for it. I didn't think I would be, and then I watched the trailers, and then I was like, wow, they're doing something here, and it feels good. The music feels good. It looks good. It just, they're doing trailers right, and I'm just like, thank God. And then we'll see what happens.
They've been spamming these trailers. I noted this. This is not a new phenomenon, having a major blockbuster movie have commercials that tie into other brands, like co-branded stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think there's 4 or 5 major brands that are co-branding with this movie. That seems like a lot, all in the same ad campaign.
It does seem like a lot.
It's Progressive has one. Yeah. There's, I want to say, one of the major car brands, like Kia or something, or Toyota, I forget.
Okay.
There was another one that I'm totally drawing a blank on that I've seen a couple times. We was talking about it the other day, and I don't even remember what that one was. And then I saw another one, so I'm like 99% sure there's 4 different ones. There's one, it was like Milkbone, which actually kind of made sense because they showed like the dog thing. And,
yeah,
you know,
sure.
So like, it's like, okay, I get where they're coming from with all of that. But there's a 4th one that I'm totally drawing a blank on. I want to say maybe it's something in the food or beverage realm. But
still,
like that many different major partnerships like that, I don't think I've ever seen that many in one ad campaign.
It's getting to be a little bit like Ricky Bobby's Fig Newton sticker.
It's like so inconvenient, but damn, do I love Fig Newtons?
Yeah, but like that. Basically, I just had this. I had this like roller coaster when I saw the Wonder Woman story, and I was just like, "Are we?" I was like, "Let the past die," and maybe this is how they can. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do there. I'm hopeful. Like I said, hopeful for Superman, especially after seeing the trailers and what they're doing, and we'll see how it goes. I think they have they have a lot to recover from as a property, and we'll see.
You know what I found an interesting experience is they announced, and I'm not even going to attempt to say his name because I have no idea how to say his last name. The guy who's playing Superman.
No idea.
But I remember when they announced it, I was like, I don't know that name. Looked at him, I was like, seems vaguely familiar, whatever. Looked him up real quick, like for 2 seconds. It's like, I don't know him from anything. They've been, like I said, spamming these trailers. I was like, I gotta look up this whole cast because obviously there's a bunch of recognizable faces.
Surely I know this person.
It's a good cast. Do you know who he is? What I know him from?
I don't.
It's something you ought to know him from as well. It's
Why
super.
are you pulling out the Alanis Morissette again?
It's super random. He was River in The Politician.
Oh, yeah. As soon as you started saying,
well, like, I mean, how many other people other than Phoenix are named River? So
yeah, no, that's okay.
And I was like, what? Of all the random, I mean, I guess it's no more random than the starting points of like Henry Cavill's career, but still,
you just gotta have a Superman-y look, and you're good to go. It's all about the jaw. You do the jaw, and you become Superman.
Well, I said he looks disturbingly like specifically Henry Cavill.
Yeah, it's like you look like Henry Cavill being Superman.
Yes, it's like you're doing a thing. You're doing a thing here. This is who you cast him in the Mel Brooks parody of Superman.
Okay, sorry, I was just reading his name, and my brain totally went to Corn Sweat.
Is it Barenthal?
David Cornsweat?
That's vaguely how I've been pronouncing it. I don't know if that's correct.
But corn sweat is what happened first.
So that's sweaty corn.
That's sweaty corn. Oh my goodness. Cavill's Cavill. Remember the good old days?
I do. It's been a while.
So next up on this list I have here, Robert Eggers tackles Christmas Carol. Of course, Willem Dafoe being the top choice at the moment to play Scrooge, which, I'll watch.
I mean, Dafoe is in like every Eggers, and is he like someone else? I feel like he's been in a bunch of stuff for as well. Oh, what's his name? Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yeah.
He's in all his movies too.
Yep. He's an interesting guy. What a unique fellow.
Can we officially?
He's something of an actor himself.
Can we officially upgrade him to character actor Willem Dafoe?
Yeah.
Because for me, it's always going to be. I can only refer to Margot Martindale as character actress Margot Martin. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we can do that. I mean, he's had a higher profile career than she has, but considering most of her stuff, I feel like has been television, or more so television than movies, and he's obviously been much more movies. But
yeah, I'd be curious. I am curious to see what he'll like. I think aesthetically, he'll be interesting to watch. I
mean, it's certainly well within his wheelhouse, right?
Yeah.
I still haven't got around to Nosferatu, and I did actually want to see that.
I would like to watch it. I'll watch it when it pops on. And then last up that I have here before we get into the couple of trailers that you wanted to mention was...
Oh, I thought we were doing trailers, considering we did a couple of trailer talk here.
The box office recovery is still underway, but improving. So...
I mean, at the end of the day, it'll never get back to the way it used to be, but can it be the modern version of the... You got to stop gesticulating at the camera, because you keep thumbs-upping me through the...
oh my god, am I really?
Yes! I don't know, you were like... Oh, there you go. You were like manipulating your hand, and it kept doing like a thumbs-up icon over and over again.
That, I had my hand on my face during a company all-hands meeting that was not a good message. Mm-hmm. And the thumbs up did arrive.
Oh, that's unfortunate. But sorry, what were we? Sorry.
Box office recovery.
It'll never be back
pre-COVID numbers.
Oh, okay. So it'll never be fully back to the way like we want it to be, but it can be back to being normal-ish, right? Like,
yeah,
it's gonna keep coming down to them like actually putting movies into theaters, and some of those movies being good.
It's kind of, I mean. It's like what we talked about. It's like the movies are coming out again, which is that's how you start to make the money back.
Yeah.
But we've got some big stuff coming. We've got some stuff that we just recently saw. We have Superman, like we mentioned. We've got Fantastic Four, which I'm stoked about. We have a Jurassic Park movie coming out that I'm
still confused by that.
Again, I'm not one to be like, I'm usually okay. You want to make a reboot or a sequel, whatever. But like is it another reboot?
It sounds like somehow they're requeling the requels trilogy.
Oof.
Because it seems like from the trailer stuff, I've read nothing about this. I've seen they've put out a couple trailers.
Yes.
It seems like they're very clearly referencing stuff from this previous trilogy.
Yeah, because it says, and also the title, right, is Jurassic World Rebirth.
Yeah.
It's like literally, it's like this is the Jurassic World reboot. Yeah. Only moments later.
Yes.
Very strange.
I thought the whole thing
Jurassic World. Okay,
I thought the whole
let's let everybody else have their moment.
I thought the whole thing was that the last one was like the last one, at least like for a while. That's what I thought. It's not been that long.
Yeah, we have the sad long neck scene. That was the last one, right?
Was it?
I don't know. I just remember. I remember us being very upset, you, me, and Gianna.
I think that was one before it. That was Fallen Kingdom, right?
Then I don't remember the last one.
The last one had the giant hordes of locusts.
I do remember the last one.
Yeah. Plus, it brought back like all the original cast.
Yeah.
Sam Neill was back.
It also had a little bit more of like that thrillery aspect to it, which was fun.
Yeah, the second one leaned pretty heavy into the horror aspects. Because that director was like a horror director.
Sure.
Or at least that was his like starting point. Well, to be fair, at this point, that's what like most directors are now. They start by making like a $3 million horror movie that makes $30 million, and then they say, okay, now we'll give.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like 80% of up and coming directors now.
That's the way. This is the way. Speaking of this is the way. I don't know did I tell you this last time? Elio was in the bath, and he was refusing to get out of the bath.
You texted me about this.
Okay, yeah. I don't know why it crossed my mind to say this, but I just looked him. The water was draining, and he wasn't listening, and he wasn't coming out. And I said, I could take you in warm, or I could take you in cold. And he just got out of the bath, and I was like, that was amazing. I want to use this for everything. And I think I realized that he doesn't like to be cold when the water runs out. That's probably what his mind went to.
I mean, who does?
But I was like, but also Mando.
It's funny talking about like the mechanics of bathing, like specifically baths. Haven't really thought about baths like ever in a long ass time.
Sure.
This is the second time now I've had to come to terms with thinking about taking a bath because someone recently was talking about looking forward to taking a bath, and I was like, it's easily been at least 15 years since I've taken a bath. At least.
Yeah.
It's just not a part of my life.
Probably closer to 25.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to remember. Like, did I just like on like a whim decide to take a bath in high school? Like, it probably happened one time.
Yeah.
Like, I can take a bath. No one's gonna stop me. Like, that would have been what it was.
The last time, I don't remember the last time that I've taken a bath, but I do recall like doing it like specifically to like soak like whether it was my like knees or something. Like
that's why I'm wondering is like it's possible I might have taken like one like after a football game or something in high school. Like,
yeah. And
if so, like that would have been the last time. And like that would have been an outlier in that time period as well, even though I played football into college.
There is a weird it's gonna sound ridiculous. There's a weird vulnerability to being in a bathtub that I find unsettling.
Okay. Elaborate.
And I just like you're naked, you're in the tub, it's filled with water. There's no acting quickly if you need to act quickly for it. Not that like anything's gonna happen where you would have to act I guess, but like just the idea, it's like I don't know what it is. I feel a certain level of of that what just like sitting on a toilet. I don't know, but the bath feels worse. It's a little bit more trapped.
See, that's not it for me, and this is what I explained when talking about it recently. It was like I have to decide I want to take a bath, commit to the period of time it will take me to take that bath, commit to running the water and getting enough water of the temperature I want into the bathtub prior to getting into the bath. Being cool with then sitting in the bath,
stewing.
Sure, if that's the word you want to use. I mean, it's not inaccurate, but
part of the discomfort.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, as you get older, you realize, right? If you're gonna take a bath, you take the bath, and then you take a shower after that, right?
Yeah.
Like which also seems extremely wasteful of water.
Totally.
I'm not even concerned with the idea of the stewing thing, because the whole thing is that, like, eventually I'm going to soap myself and rinse that soap off, and so I will be clean at the end of it. But that's like well over half an hour of time, 45 minutes worth of time probably we're talking about. And that's, again, like, I was like, I tried to say, it's like, basically the only way I would even consider taking a bath would be if, like, I'm on my way home from work and I'm getting a call from someone who's like, hi, I ran a bath for you. It will be the perfect temperature when you walk into the house. And even then I'm going to be like, I don't really want to take a bath, but if you got it set up, it would feel wasteful to not take the bath.
Sure.
But that's not happening. There's no way that's happening in my life.
Yeah.
I don't particularly want it to happen in my life, but that's like the only context under which that would happen.
Next time you come over, you knock on the door to come in. Al, you're not going to believe it.
I just drew you a bath.
I drew you a bath. I just thought it was an experience that you should have.
I mean, been bathing in someone else's house.
And then you'll be laying in the bathtub, the door will be closed, and be like, Al? And you'll be like, yeah. I'm like, you feeling vulnerable?
No, it's going to end up with your son repeating your line to me, is what it's going to
I can take you in warm. That's incredible. Don't even remotely know how we got there.
Jurassic Park.
Right.
A natural transition.
It all makes sense. This is the way. Got it. All right. I'm back. I figured it out. Tell me about these trailers.
All right. So how about we start with the trailer that you watched? Because I sent it to you directly before we got on.
Yeah.
What's this movie called again? Deliver Me From Nowhere?
Sure.
The Bruce Springsteen movie.
Yeah.
This is something we were talking about. I'm actually kind of excited for this. There's been some high-profile music biopics that's come out in the last several years. Yeah. I've watched none of them, despite vaguely wanting to watch a handful of them. A couple of them have been nominated for major awards. Some of them even won some of those awards.
It's true.
I just haven't seen any.
I'm a sucker for a music biopic.
That's a lie. I watched the Elvis one. That's the only one I watched.
Oh, okay. That one, yeah.
We did that for the show.
I did watch A Complete Unknown. And I got like annoyingly into Dylan for a few weeks after that.
I had kind of like I said, I kind of wanted to watch a bunch of these. I actually genuinely did want to watch that one, just didn't get around to it.
Yeah, good, well done movie. Interesting, like snapshot of life. Doesn't it's more of just experience this for a minute, and then that's kind of it.
Which I think this is of that same vein, because I think
seems that way.
I didn't pay close enough attention if they said it. But I want to say this movie is based on the book that came out a couple of years ago, specifically about the period of time when he made, is it Nebraska? Is it that album? He had like his first, like, I want to say 2 albums that were pretty big. It was like Greetings from Asbury Park, and I forget which one's the second one, but it was like, I don't know if that's The River, if The River came later. I forget the chronology of when his albums came out. But like, he was like, becoming like a big thing, and then he just went off on his own and made an album just for him, and like everyone's like, that's not how, like, you do that later, like that's not like, you need to like cement yourself on this like rise, and he's like, I'm gonna make this album.
You gotta make your bones.
And I know a very little bit about that story, only because I listened to a podcast where the guy who wrote that book was on for like half an hour, so, and like he was talking about it, and it was like, oh cool. And I want to say that was like 2 years ago. I heard about that, and just watching this trailer, it sounded like that was what they were referencing. And so again, it looks like it's a very specific point of his career. I don't think this is a womb to tomb type of story.
Which I think I like. At first, I was a little bit like about it when I saw the Bob Dylan movie, and afterwards I was like, well, actually, like, I don't think I kind of liked that. It kind of just like gave you. It like dove into personality and kind of let you fill in the rest, and it was a good watch. It was an entertaining session with the TV, and I would watch this too. And great cast. So
as for as insanely like, I don't even want to say famous specifically, but like present and relevant as a character as Dylan was, I know very little about him, which is also kind of how he's always wanted it, I guess. But I know little snippets of like early on in his life and career, and like that's it. So that was part of why I actually wanted to watch that one versus like other more popularized ones where we know so much already is like maybe the movie's not even necessarily that necessary. That movie felt like it was. And for as public facing as Bruce has been for all this time, we know a lot about him and his life. And as like vulnerable as he is on stage, it's still like, how much do you actually know about this guy who's been so publicly facing?
Yeah,
I know
it should be interesting.
And I was like intrigued by the casting. And Jeremy Allen White's great.
I will watch anything that he's in.
The Bear new season's coming out in like another week or so, like that.
Let's go.
So we're excited for that. And I mean, I don't know, this is cool. I thought that was a very interesting casting choice, and I'm excited to see how that goes.
Yeah, me too. I'm definitely gonna check that one out.
I know we mentioned before the show started, you said you're not hugely for or against him, like you're not like a big fan.
Yeah, it's similar to how I was with Bob Dylan. Like I've like come across the occasional song and liked it. I was a fan of I was listening to Bob Dylan's Son long before I ever actually listened to a Bob Dylan song.
What song is that?
The Wallflowers. One headlight was
his son. Sorry, you cut out for a second. I thought you said. I thought you were saying that there was a song that you listened to that you didn't realize was his or something like that.
And Bruce Springsteen, I've never really it's never really clicked for me. Obviously he's been on the radio and stuff like that in my life, but it's never really been something that I actually sat down and took in.
Yeah.
But this is similar to what happened with A Complete Unknown. I feel like I'm going to end up watching this movie and then spend a week just listening to different albums.
I think that's coming for really a lot of people with these sorts of movies. And I've grown up listening to him my whole life because my dad's a huge fan of his music. It was actually the first actual concert I ever went to was Bruce in the old Meadowlands before they built MetLife Stadium. And I remember it was a phenomenon because listen, this is a North Jersey giant stadium, 80,000 people can fit in that stadium. It's probably 100,000 people because they had, what's called seating. The field level seating too. There's a ton of that. And I remember he was at least an hour late to get on stage. It may have been an hour and a half. There was no opener, but when he finally got on stage, they played for 3 hours. It was it was an event.
My first concert was at the Meadowlands also. Zootopia.
Zootopia?
Yeah, it was Z100.
Okay.
Summer concert thing.
Because wasn't there a movie? Wasn't there an animated movie called Zootopia that came out?
Elio watches it all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's great. We had some at that concert. I think the headliner was Aerosmith.
Oh.
We had Bowling for Soup.
Okay.
We had a little Simple Plan. It was
So this was 2005.
I had 100-something degree fever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it wasn't the best.
I wouldn't think so.
But it was cool to see some of them.
Yeah.
The Meadowlands. Wow. All right. Anyway, Bruce Springsteen movie.
It's coming
down. What else you got?
So I have one more trailer. There was from Summer Games Fest, which apparently neither of us particularly delved too deeply into. Shockingly, both of us, I think, were surprised that the other didn't know more about what was going on with that. But there was one specific trailer that came out of all of that, and that is for The Expanse: Osiris Reborn, and that is a new action RPG coming out from the world of The Expanse, which, if you've listened to the show for a while, you know that I'm a huge fan of both the books and the movies. Not the movies, the show, rather. And I'm pretty excited for this. The trailer looked really cool and authentic to the idea of that the ideas, the whole themes that were presented in that. And I thought it was a really well made trailer in the sense of the story portion of the trailer, really getting you back into that world, getting you ready for the fact that this is going to be very proto-molecule centric, which is that was the sci-fi aspect of that show, the real core sci-fi part of that show. And then at the end, they showed a little bit of pre-alpha gameplay, so still a ways away from what the final product looked like. But it looked like it's going to help me scratch that Mass Effect style itch, which those books and specifically that show has always resonated with that sort of thing for me. I believe the authors said that game series was a major influence on the aesthetic of what they did. Not, necessarily directly the storyline and stuff like that, but like the aesthetic of how they wanted to present a lot of that stuff, which I thought was very cool. And looked at the style game. I mean, like, you never know when you're watching a story trailer, like, what actually is this game going to be like. I have very particular things that work for me and don't work for me in games, and this looked like it's going to be that style. Like, it looked cover-based, third-person shooter type stuff. It's like, I can get on board with that, whether or not it's exactly how the type of stuff that I generally prefer. Like, at this point, I just don't love first-person shooters. I mean, that's what I certainly cut my teeth on for a certain amount of time there. I mean, there's a lot of Halo, a lot of Call of Duty in my life, and at a certain point, I just that cover shooter is what I really enjoy.
Yeah, I was just having a similar conversation with Brian, friend of the show, Brian Rooney, and host of other shows that we've done. I keep trying to like certain games. I'm like, I just don't think I'm into the FPS. Like, maybe I could still play Halo.
Yeah,
I could still play Call of Duty, like that very specific style of first person game.
We had fun playing the whatever was it, Halo Infinite. We had fun playing that, but even that I felt like my skill set eroded from it though. Like, I never felt like I got good at that game. Like, I went from being like, I'm getting killed every 2 seconds to I'm having fun because at least I'm like holding my own. But like, I never got back to feeling like I could. I don't know what it is about. Like, I feel like I've actually lost touch with the ability to play those.
Well, you passed the age threshold where that reflex is not as sharp as it can be.
That's probably true as well, which is disheartening because I was like 30. But I
think it happens at like 27 or something.
Okay, is it really?
Yeah. But I did get good at that. Halo came back to me and I was fine with it. But like, it's just this conversation had come up because we were talking about the Indiana Jones game, and I was like, I really love what it's doing in concept. I love the way that it's telling the story. I really love when it cuts to cinematics. And then as soon as I'm back in the first person perspective, I was like, this isn't doing it for me.
Yeah.
I would much rather move Indiana Jones around the space than pretend that I actually find the like that first person point of view oddly like breaking immersion.
It's disorienting.
Making it because it's not correct.
Yes.
It's not the first person. It's like it's like this weird second person view.
It's first person with blinders. It's like I feel like I'm a horse running a race. Like, totally. I can't see I can see way more perspective of my own body as a first person than I can with like the game. Like, you don't see your arms, you see part of your hand. Yeah. It's disorienting. Am I T-Rex?
The fun of it for me has always been moving the character through that space.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I think that was when that game was announced and they put that trailer out, I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. And they showed the gameplay and I was like, I won't enjoy playing that. I was like, I just don't think I'll enjoy it, which sucks because like I would like to like that game, and I just know I wasn't going to. Yeah. Yeah. Well, perspective. But yeah, I'm excited for this game, and looking forward to seeing more. I had no idea this was on the radar. I want to say maybe a year and a half ago. I actually have to go back and find this game. So they did another Expanse game that had one of the main characters. Well, I think we talked about it on the show. One of the main characters from the show, they got the actress to reprise herself in that game. And I think it was supposed to be kind of an immediate prequel to the show, or at least her perspective, because she wasn't introduced till like the third season.
Was it one of the? It was a Telltale game.
It was a Telltale, and I was like, even though that's not 100% my cup of tea, I feel like I would have been able to engage with that better, and it was like very story centric. So that is what I loved. Those characters, those stories, that I loved about that. Both versions of that media, the book and the show. So
cool.
But I'm pretty excited for this one.
But yeah, I'm glad you're getting it.
Yeah.
You deserve nice things, Al.
It was the game that I didn't know that I needed.
Little Expanse video game, little bath.
Yeah.
You'll be good to go.
At the same time.
No meringue.
No meringue. I'm very wary of it. Everyone knows this about me, Anthony.
How did we get here?
Dress.
You want to get some consumption, or
Sure.
that was the last? All right. What do you?
Yeah, that was the last
what
of
are
my
you
news.
watching?
So the briefest of notes, because I know you have a very little interest, but I don't have a ton of consumption because most of my consumption the last few weeks have been basketball and hockey playoffs coming to a very final conclusion as we go. The Stanley Cup final ended last night. Florida Panthers.
Very final conclusion sounds like sports is like over now, like forever.
Many people would contend that once the NBA finals are done, that they are over until football comes back. Now, I'm still a huge Yankee fan. I'm going to be watching the Yankees through the summer. But yeah, sports takes a big backseat in July and August for the most part. I mean, you get a tennis final if you like that. I was actually super riveted by the finals for the French Open. Was it last weekend? 2 weekends ago? Whenever that was. Pretty fantastic matches at the highest level, actually, of that. So we'll loop that into my sports watching as well. But Stanley Cup Finals just ended. The NBA Finals is about to end as well. Been watching a pretty good amount of both of those, despite not rooting for any of the teams that were in it. So it's been good.
Right.
The sports have been good.
Little sports.
Not the Yankees. The Yankees have been bad, but the other sports have been good.
What else?
I finished that book I mentioned last episode, Alien Clay.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It was good. It was weird book. I did find the perspective of the narration a little bit disorienting at times because it was like first person narration, but it was very conversational. Like it was very the first person, like the narrator was like telling someone a story. Like that was how it was written, where it's like he would go off onto a wild tangent, like in the way that if I was telling you a story, I might go off into a tangent.
Sure.
And like specifically, like it's like at times it wasn't always like this way, but like pretty often the narrator would literally be like as if he was like, "Oh, I know I said this before." Like that was how like it was literally as if someone was verbally telling you a story.
Mm-hmm.
Which, considering I was listening to it, that's not necessarily the worst thing. That part of it was kind of cool, but some of it was so listen while I'm working. And sometimes like I'm kind of like in a groove of doing what I'm doing. It was fine when I was in the car, but sometimes I'm in the groove of doing something, and I was like, I did not follow any of what just happened.
Sure.
Yeah, and I hate I'll rewind a podcast every once in a while. It's like for some reason it's like weird to me to have to rewind. Like I'll do it if I miss it. I get that. But it's like there's something disconcerting about doing it with a book. I don't know what it is, but I enjoyed it. It was the first couple chapters did a really cool job of world building, establishing some of the central mysteries, and then there was like a moment or two in the middle third where I was a little concerned. They kind of went off on like so much of a tangent. It seemed like from the central mysteries that they set up that I was like, oh, is this going to end up like just leaving me hanging after all this is done? Because this is, as of now, written as if it's a standalone novel. Although there are some pretty clear threads that can be picked up for a sequel if they wanted to. And the author, what I did think was kind of cool was the guy who read the book, like who narrated the book, did a little was like a 15-minute interview with the author, which was actually kind of weird hearing him go from narrator voice to I'm having a conversation with someone. I mean, it's clearly the same voice, but it's like there's just something about like the cadence and the tenor that was so much different of him having just now a normal conversation with another person. Yeah, and they were talking about his stuff as a writer in general, this book specifically, and I had heard of this guy for a couple of years. I think it was Adrian Tchaikovsky. But I'd never read any of his stuff before, and I'm not like super familiar with his work. Mm-hmm. And I guess he's written some standalone stuff. He's written at least one thing as a trilogy. I think he's written sequels to a couple of his things, and he basically is like, the trilogy was planned as a trilogy. He's like, there was this book that he wrote that he was like, yeah, I just wrote that book. And then somewhere along the line, I was like, I have more to say. And so it ended up getting a sequel that I had never planned to do. And he basically said, like, I didn't have plans for one for this. I don't know that I necessarily do, but like I can't tell you that I won't decide one day. Like I got more to say, sure. And there, like I said, there's a couple of very clear avenues as to where this could go. They did bring it back around before the final act of the book, where it was like, okay, no, that was intentional how they kind of went off on that tangent, and it is a very clear conclusion to the book. I did enjoy it. It was super weird, and I'd say that mostly in a good way. I enjoyed the book. It was good.
Nice. Weirdly, I finished that book that I had been reading for like
Which one? You've read a couple books forever.
the Ashes of the Sun.
Oh, the one Uncle John gave you.
Yeah. I can hand that to you now.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it was very entertaining. Like I think it may be like a little bit opposite of like what you're describing with this author, where I was like, I feel like you're intentionally not closing out a concept because you're going to be like, because there's more. There are like it's like more like of a planned set of books.
Oh, so that was part of a series, right?
Yeah. And the journey was a lot of fun, and then it kind of, I feel like the ending kind of tapered off. It was just like, it wasn't as boom at the end.
Okay.
I was like, oh, but enough that kept me.
Can you define boom?
Just like, I don't know. It fizzled. It felt like it fizzled out. Like it was like, it was no longer like the adventure getting to the point of the finale was fun and engaging and what's going to happen. And then like the wrap up of like the truth of like, because they're trying to like figure something out this whole time, like it just all happens like boom boom boom, and it was just like, okay. Like that's how I felt at the end. But I'm like what about X, Y, or Z, and like that'll be for the next story. So I will probably continue on just because it was entertaining. The journey was entertaining. So, but it just took me a while.
There's a few things I need to get into because the Expanse series was written by an author, quote unquote. It's the name of one person. That person doesn't exist. I know we've talked about this in the past, but just to jog your memory. It's James S.A. Corey. There is no person that exists with that name. It's a pen name for two guys writing together. Okay. It's like, oh, I'm going to jumble up their first and last names, but I think it's something Frank and something Abraham are the two guys. It's like Daniel Frank and like something Abraham, I want to say. But the two of them together, are still writing together, are writing, I think, a new trilogy of books. Like this one is planned out as a trilogy. I've now seen some back and forth. I felt like originally the first book was pitched as, no, this is not part of the Expanse. And I feel like now I've heard some, I don't know if this is speculation. I need to do some more digging to find out because I still have not read the book. I forgot about it. I knew they were writing it. It wasn't out at the time that I was aware of it. It's been out for like at least a year now, and I keep forgetting to pick it up because I wanted to actually buy, because I have the whole Expanse like series in physical form. I have them all, and I like having those books. I think it's cool to have those books. I like splitting up between what books I listen to versus, I still like actually reading books, but you also have to like make the time to do it because I can listen some while I'm at work, especially this time of year when the sports subside a bit for a few months. But I don't know when the next book's supposed to come out, but I've actually really wanted to pick up that book and read it. So that is one that will be a future consumption one of these months.
Nice.
And then I started a new one as well. This is an older sci-fi. I don't know if you ever heard of, I think it's Ursula K. Le Guin. She was like a famous sci-fi writer of like the, I want to say 60s, 70s, 80s.
No, I don't. The name isn't familiar to me.
So I'm reading one of, I would say, like the two books she's really well known for. So the one I'm reading, I've only had the first couple chapters of, is The Dispossessed. And then I think the one that is like her most famous, because I actually recognized to this title name when I was reading about her the other day, is The Left Hand of Darkness, I think is what it was called.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's like a famous, like I think she won awards for that one. I think she might have won awards for The Dispossessed as well. And those were both books that came out in the 70s, I think.
Cool.
But yeah, I've only just barely gotten into that. But this one is a cool concept. From what I understand, she wrote 7 or 8, something like that, novels or novellas. Like some of them were longer form, some of them were not. And they're all supposed to take place in the same universe.
Love that. That's always a cool concept.
But like they're not
connected.
Sequels.
They're just in the space.
Yeah, and like so like I think,
and then played in it.
Yeah, and I think the way it worked was like there's like oblique references to things that were also referenced in the other books, but nothing like this character who was also in that book, you know, like so
sure.
So
that's kind of cool.
This one is about, so I think the gist of it is, 'cause this is like somewhere like later on in the series, and there is actually like some level of chronology that goes into this whole like reference thing. But basically, the gist of this is that like, yes, humans like live on Earth. They also live in other planets and other solar systems, and there is like a central like, call it like an international UN style thing where like each major planet that has human life sends councils, like sends representatives to or whatever. But technically, I think it was humanity was started on some other planet and seeded on Earth and like evolved from there or whatever. Um, and this book is about these two planets that are in the same solar system that like most of life and civilization was like for like thousands of years on this one planet, and then eventually there was maybe some sort of like uprising slash exile slash revolution where like a small subset of the people who lived on that planet went to this other planet. And like the gist of it is like the original planet was like this like kind of hedonistic super capitalist planet, and the ones that broke away create like a commune planet.
Mm-hmm.
And the two planets maintain very limited interaction where it's like basically like a ship goes from one planet to the other a couple times a year for trade and and back and forth.
Sure.
And that's it. Like they don't really talk to each other. You don't travel from one planet to the other. It's like basically just the captain of the ships that ship like goods and stuff back and forth. And this physicist from the commune planet decides to visit the original planet with the unstated goal, like at least not publicly vocalized goal, of trying to bring the two civilizations back into accord. And it's like, tackling like the philosophy and sociology and civilization of the two like wildly different things, and like what are the pros and cons, and like the inherent assumptions and even sometimes bigotry of one to the other and vice versa, and try to break down those walls, and even breaking down the ideas of whether or not the information they've gotten about the other planets are correct, or even like what they had is it even up to date, because the like communication is so limited. Like, is what they were told something that was true 200 years ago that's no longer true now, and stuff like that. So it seems like it's a very interesting concept, but I'm still only a couple of chapters in, and they're kind of like, the first chapter was starting that story of him traveling. The second chapter was like his whole childhood in like vignettes, and then the third chapter is his arrival at that planet and his introduction to the people, and then like they go back, so they keep like flip-flopping back and forth to like his present and his past, which is interesting, but it's kind of a lot, like I said, especially since I've probably maybe not even a quarter of the way through the book.
Sure. Yeah, interesting. Well, two quick consumption notes. One, Kim and I just started and finished the 4 seasons in a couple of nights.
The
Netflix
4 seasons? Show,
yeah, Netflix show. It's a remake of an Alan Alda movie as a show on Netflix, and I think it's 8 episodes. It's a few couples that go on vacations together. They go once a season.
Okay.
The season is 8 episodes long.
I did hear
episodes per season.
I did hear about this. I think my close personal friend Alan Sepinwall wrote something about this, and I think I read a little snippet of what his viewing experience was with that.
It was good. I really enjoyed it. They make a choice in like the last like couple of episodes that I was like, okay. And then I think I have since made my peace with it. But it was really, overall, it was an entertaining watch. Like some things that just like really hit home, like relationship wise, that were just like really fun and silly. Like just like how you act, like when you like see yourself in somebody doing something ridiculous, and you're like, oh, that's me. I liked that. It was just very entertaining. Really great cast of characters, all very unique, and like the way they played off of each other was a lot of fun. And it made me really curious about the movie that it's based on. So I want to check that out.
Yeah.
The other thing that I need to mention is on Father's Day, when the boys went down for a nap, I came into my office. I sat down. I grabbed my PS5 controller. I was like, it's time to play a game for a couple hours. And I was like, I've been so interested in finally playing Death Stranding that I was like, I'm going to fire this up.
Wait, you never actually played it? Because you and Brian were like super into it when it came out.
I played like maybe an hour of it, which is only really 10 minutes of playing.
Yeah.
Because it's Kojima and there's lots of really interesting cutscenes. The thing is, I find Kojima to be very like he's so weird to me. Like the stuff that he makes is so off the wall, and I just can't help but be curious about it. And then I started playing this game, and of course, like I'm really interested in the story and like what is going on, and like I really want to watch that unfold. And then I got into the gameplay, and I was playing the game, and I was like, I don't like it. Yeah. And I'm not going to continue. I ended that session. I was like, you know what? That was enough. I will go watch the cutscenes.
I like that's something where like I wish it was like it's probably too long to be a movie, but like I wish that was like a season of television. I would watch that.
Yeah. It was just I
could tell watching the gameplay. I was like, oh no, I would hate this.
You have to like you're a mailman, and you have to balance things on your body the right way so that you don't fall and damage the goods. And I'm like,
that sounds really cool. It would probably be awful to deal with.
It's awful. It's just awful. And you have to like pull the triggers to balance yourself while you're walking. I'm like, this is just not. And your goal, you just have to get somewhere. And I was like, I was like, I'm just not feeling. I just don't like. I would rather put that on autopilot. Because the thing that has going for it is that when you are doing this absurd thing where you're just walking a vast distance, great music. Great music kicks in a really sick way. It pulls the camera out, makes it very cinematic. And I'm like, just make a movie, buddy. Like you'll like you're saying, like
Hideo Kojima has good taste in music. I believe he's a fan of Coheed and Cambria. Mm-hmm. I remember when the new album came out a couple months ago. He just like tweeted that he was listening to the album.
Yeah. But I couldn't. I put after that session of playing was over, I turned it off and I was like, I'm gonna delete that one off the hard drive. It's not. I don't want to be tempted to go back because I'm just gonna sit down for another hour and probably be annoyed.
I think we talked about it at that time, like when it came out, and like you and like Brian like kind of dipped into it at the beginning. I was like, I feel like I would really enjoy coming over and watching you guys play it.
Yeah,
and like not have to deal with the actual minutia of playing it myself.
Yeah. Originally, I wanted to have you both over the night it was released to do a stream of it, and I don't remember, something happened. We didn't do that. But anyway.
And there's the new one's coming out soon, or
it is, which is the reason why I like dusted off. I was like, oh, maybe it's, let me get into this. If I'm really enjoying it, then I could roll right into the second one. I was like, I'm not rolling into anything. I'm not rolling through this one. I'm just I'm done now.
You're like, oh, I'm rolling down this hill because I'm over encumbered in the wrong direction.
God, dude, I fell so hard. I ate shit so many times in the first few times of playing it. And it's like, it's raining, and the rain is called Timefall, and it makes the stuff that it hit age really quickly. And the mechanic is interesting. It's just kind of annoying.
Yeah.
So there goes that.
I remember how long the lead into that game coming out was, and how the flood of news about it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, a couple weeks ago, oh, Death Stranding 2 is coming out. I was like, wait, what? This could not have been more different way that they introduced this game versus the last one.
Yeah. And he does have another thing that he's working on, so
he's always got 12 things he's working on, right?
Yeah, I'll be curious about that. So we'll see. It didn't work for me. Any other consumption?
I have one final consumption. So Last episode I mentioned that there was 3 shows that I was really loving watching that I came to a screeching halt and did not finish watching. Finished one of the 3 shows. I finished The Studio. Did you finish?
Oh, nice.
Did you finish The Studio?
I did not.
Okay. I watched the last. I forget if I had 2 or 3, but I watched them all in one night. I think it was 2 Saturdays ago. I wasn't doing anything. I was like, let me knock these out now. And really enjoyed it. That was a really cool, interesting, big season of show. I really enjoyed it. Definitely worth getting through and watching the rest of it.
It's really good. It's really good. There's there's just certain movies and certain TV shows that you watch and you're just like, even if this isn't particularly for me, which this I think is, but even if it's not, you could appreciate like, oh, maybe not for me, but this is good.
Yeah.
Like, and that was one of them. And the last episode that I watched was the two executives kind of going after each other, trying to get the horror movie director hired.
Yes.
And the places that episode goes, like building up to the set being torn down with the burrito. Yeah.
I was I crying in the stairwell and her being like, "Are you serious?"
For me, it was the quesarito takedown
and the investigation around it.
Oh my goodness! But just even the aesthetics of like what happened, like as the golf cart like runs through the set, and it just the way that it like implodes. I was like, it's just like shocking, and it just gets like more and more shocking as it happens. I'm like, this was great. That was really fun.
So I know we've talked about on the show in the past. I'm not always the biggest fan of the every episode, like the episodic. This week's about this week's about that. But when it's done really, really well and makes a conscious effort to, every episode needs to at least reference what the central plot is. Like, that's the thing that loses me. If you start just having a series of episodes that just totally sideline, even if it's going to mostly sideline, you can't totally sideline that stuff and keep my interest.
Yeah.
It works for other people, that's fine. It's not for me. I thought this show did a good job of that. I thought this show did a good job of everything is leading towards, in whatever way, even if they're only going to talk about it for 90 seconds in this episode, making Kool-Aid and how this is kind of make or break to Matt's career. Even though this episode's about him making this movie, or that episode's about him getting funding for that movie, whatever.
Yep.
And I really liked how, at the end of it all, the final the finale is a two-parter. And it's funny because it's a long episode, and the finale itself is actually pretty short. It's like under half an hour.
No.
And the whole thing is about they're going to CinemaCon in Las Vegas, and just so like the whole thing is the Kool-Aid is the center of the pitch, but they're pitching all of the movies that they've talked about during the course of this season. So it's the Zoe Kravitz superhero movie. It's the Anthony Mackie DeFranco movie. The taxi driver cop movie, whatever. It's all of it is going to be part of the thing. So we get a lot of Zoe Kravitz in the episode. We get a lot of DeFranco. They bring back finally Cranston for the 2-part finale.
Okay,
he's ridiculous. It's huge. Like his role in it was really big. It's the whole cast, not just the main group of the executives. Even some of the other like people who we've seen kind of in like the periphery a couple of times are part of it.
Yeah, and
it's a ridiculous night in Vegas thing, and them trying to get everything to them being on like the finale. So
I'm excited to dust it off and finish off the season. It is an entertaining show.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I finished it. I'm not sure which I'll tackle next between Andor and, because I feel like after all this, like I need to, even though it's like 6 hours, I need to like get all of Andor out in a couple of days. Like I don't want it to take me 2 weeks to finish it.
Yeah,
like when I commit to starting it back up again.
I want to do the same thing. Like because what I've watched so far, like I've absolutely loved, but the show deserves a little bit more attention and respect. And I feel like that's exactly it. Like I would like to sit down and watch like 2 episodes, like and like kind of get through it, or maybe do the 3s and get the whole arc in one go. But I just haven't been. The last couple times I sat down, not a problem with the show at all. I've just fallen asleep because I'm exhausted at the end of the night, and like that's no way to be watching that show.
Well, I'm at a similar thing where it's like there's been a couple times where it's like, ooh, I could do one, maybe 1.5 Andors. Like, but there's no 1.5. So like it's either gonna be 1 or 2. If I watch one, I'm not gonna watch the next one for like 3 days. It's not like I'm gonna forget. It's just like I don't. That's not how rhythm. That's not how I. It's just not how I want to watch them. I want to watch them. If it was like, even if it was, I can watch all 3 of them the next 3 nights. Like that's fine for me. But like I got to know that's how my schedule is going to line up, and like it just hasn't worked out with how much of the finals I've been enjoying of those 2 sports. So
I hear you. Andor, we're coming for you. Anything else for consumption?
No, that's it for me.
All right, then with that, let us get into our flick of the week. Mountainhead, released in 2025, rated TV Ma, with a 1 hour and 48-minute runtime. Your IMDb synopsis is 4 friends reunite during worldwide economic turmoil. Sure.
Yes.
4 friends who caused it.
And also, well,
You're right.
to be fair, like one friend who caused it.
One friend who caused it.
And two other friends two other friends who were actively seeking to profit off of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe 3. We'll get into that.
2.5.
We'll get into that aspect of it. But Al, why don't you give us your hot take?
Like snorting a season of Succession cut with a sprinkle of Death of Stalin. 8 out of 10.
Nice. An uncomfortable, insane, and all too accurate portrait of the worst parts of the industry I'm married to. 7 out of 10.
I didn't know if this would cut close.
It does. It hurts.
I mean, it's not like directly tied in that way.
It is. You'd be surprised. Like the people that you come across.
I'm not saying that you haven't like interacted with people who are wannabe versions of this, but
there's always been, I don't know. There's like even from like the earliest days of doing like software engineering, there's always like if you have a soul, there's like the questions of ethics around what it is that you're making, right? Like you can do bad things very easily, and if you have insane, just money faucet turned on and no checks, like it could get out of hand really quickly.
Listen, we don't have to go into this too deeply. At least I don't talk about these things on the show very often, but I will. And I don't know if I've actually ever like kind of said this to you directly, but if you want a little peek into the crack in the window of my life and in my internal life and all that, I had similar concerns with my original chosen field, like what I went to school for and everything.
Sure.
And I made a choice to walk away and not do it at all, ever. Really, right? Now, that came at a cost of me spending several, I would say probably go so far as to say, wasting several years of my life figuring out what I was going to do in place of that. And I have other questions about the morality and ethics of even some of what I do now. Not less, but there are like fair questions that even I grapple with some now about what I do. But I think, unfortunately, that's probably true of like many fields, and you just do the best that you can personally.
And unfortunately, sometimes you're doing the best that you can, and you think you're doing a good thing, and then you find out that the people in charge are doing something active.
Is that I've never actually looked up what movie or show that's from, but you've ever seen like that GIF that's used a lot of times, like it's like, oh, are we the baddies?
Yeah. Totally.
I think it's from something British or whatever, but I don't actually know what that's from.
Well, back to Mountainhead. This particular take the like the emotional part out of like the politics and the industry and whatnot. The execution of the movie is insane. Like I like it is tight. One, like, if like not one room, but like, this group of people that's kind of like together for the entire film, a cast of 4 characters that it's mostly just them, with the odd exception here or there.
I kept waiting for like Tom or Shiv or someone to walk out of the next room, right? Like,
right.
It felt so perfectly.
Succession.
And like, yeah, sure, it's a lot of like similar like set designers, cinematography, like all that sort of stuff. Like same thing with like some of those shots of like the nameless, faceless people coming in and out of like expensive Escalades and all that stuff, and like it was meant to evoke that sort of stuff. And obviously, like the same thing with like, I remember there was it The Ringer? Someone did an article, like 3rd or 4th season of Succession. It was like the quiet luxury of Succession. It was like how the fact that like everything they wore was like very simple, and like it's like, oh, that very simple like sweater that like Shiv was wearing costs like $8,000.
More than your life.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
And like this was exactly popularized by like the same like shit. I think there was like the whole movie was like vignettes of some of like the best moments of Succession, where it's like a couple of people in a room having these incredibly frivolous conversations that like dovetail directly into things that was going to affect the lives and deaths of millions.
But there's and you can I feel like you could try to execute that, but there is something special to the mechanics and how and like pulling that together the right way, because
Jesse Armstrong's got the secret sauce for that specific mechanic.
Where like in one sequence of two characters talking about something very specific, you've just completely sketched out your entire world building, and it's like there for you. And I was just like, I don't know what it is about how that is executed, but the guy's got it, and it works really well.
It was like when we've talked about
everything feels fully formed.
When we've talked about like the quiet world building of like the John Wick universe, it's like if you took that and you turned the dial up to Glengarry Glen Ross, and like that's what you get is like this.
1, 2, 3, Glengarry Glen Ross. Yeah. No, that is accurate.
Because any one scene, there's more dialogue than there was in the entire any specific John Wick movie.
True.
But that's the whole thing, is like this whole movie's about 4 people talking, or sometimes 2 people, or sometimes 3 people, sometimes even 1 person. There's a couple of one-sided phone conversations that happen.
Sure.
But the point is, the whole damn movie,
the one-sided telephone call.
The whole damn movie is just about these 4 fucking genius idiots, or idiot geniuses, whatever you want to call them, who can be talking about the most like just like frivolous, banal thing. Like they could have broken out into a round of Boar on the floor at any time. Like, why not? Like that would have worked. Or they're faux debating the morality of people like burning someone in the street, and whether that's something that I always think of. I forget if the episode was titled that, but there was the episode in, I want to say, the 1st or 2nd season of Succession, the NRPI, no real person involved, like the whole thing with the crew scandal. And they had another similar term in this one when they were talking about stuff like that. I forget what it was now. This is a movie that I dug into IMDb hoping that there would be like a bunch of like quotes on here, because it's obviously being so like the whole point is the dialogue. I was hoping there'd be a better like database of all like the lines that were like noteworthy, because there's a couple of times where I was like, ooh, wow, that was like a good zinger, or oh, I want to remember that.
A good one.
And I didn't want to keep pausing the movie to write them down.
Sure.
And now because we watched it like 2 weeks ago, I don't remember like a lot of them, but like there was, I remember
you'd have to watch twice to pull that off.
I remember there was specifically when they were talking about like the fact that they were trying to like kind of talk around the fact that they didn't care because these things were happening to people that don't matter. Yeah. They had, I don't remember if it was specifically like an acronym or not, but like I feel like whether there was a specific word or like a phrase that was like very like evocative of the NRPI conversation, that I was just like, oh god, the fact that they can come up with terms for how disgustingly hollow and callous they are, like that's shocking.
What I love about it is like the movie's like weirdly balanced though, because like they'll do that with really well executed, well timed and placed dialogue. But then there's also all the other like silly, crazy things that happen, like what you mentioned, Death of Stalin. We'll get into that aspect of it. But even the occasional just like one-off line, like you put 2 pretty strong comedians on the screen, and I like, as irritating as he was, Jason Schwartzman, he kept cracking me up with like these, like the way that he'll deliver something, like what's his face, the guy that Venice, he's like fake, like when they're like looking through the videos, he's like fake, and he's like, heads don't explode that way, and then he goes, how do heads explode? Yeah. But they don't. There was like a fear in his eyes, like when he asked that question, and I was just like, "This is just so good." That was so, and he was like his wanting to, like his imposter syndrome, because he's not a billionaire; he's only a multi-millionaire. He was a half billionaire. Soup kitchen, is that what they called him? Yeah, soups. And I can't go full unicorn. That was one of the lines I remember. I can't go full unicorn. And the reference to trying to get an investment of $1 billion and calling it a B-nut was really annoying to me.
Oh god, the peanut.
Just a B-nut. Just a little B-nut.
That's what you was it like I wanted you to crack or bust your peanut or something
Bust your
like
B-nut.
that.
Yeah.
Just like no.
No! It's horrible.
It's there was something that was like really like we keep talking about like these things that are like so authentic. And like that's what it is. It's like a guy like Jesse Armstrong is one of these like filmmakers or writers or like they become so obsessed with a topic or a specific like slice of the world that it's like whether or not this is a real conversation he witnessed, it's so authentic where like if you have any insight into that, you just know this is how it is. And I've never talked to a billionaire. I've talked to millionaires. Never talked to a billionaire. But everyone, or at least I would assume a lot of people know people who are aping what like being cool is supposed to look like their version, like what they think being cool is supposed to be. And it just like missing it hard. It's like, it's the rich guy who was stuffed in a locker before he was like mega rich. And then was trying to ape being cool in like that version of like the Family Guy sketch with the European guys who don't fully understand English, where it's like they're performing English, but they're not speaking English. Like these guys are performing being cool, and they're so not cool.
Yeah, well, it's go back to our earlier conversation. There's 4 guys in a room that are like the only actual like thing that they have in common is that they have a lot of money, and they're in a small group of people that have that level of money. Yet they don't know how to person.
They don't know how to person.
They don't know how to person, and they're like the way that they're talking to, like even when they're coming into the room, and God, his skin looks radiant. Doesn't his skin look radiant? He looks so good. Doesn't he look so good? And he just like can't. And like, what is? I was so confused by what was going on. I was like, what is happening right now? Until we find out that he's like trying to get them interested. That's part of his whole thing, getting them interested into his like health and wellness app that he's building.
It's not just a wellness app. It's what he kept saying, like it was like it's like a whole holistic whatever the fuck,
like
and
like a platform or something.
Yes, and it was like it's a lifestyle and this and that, and every time. Yes. But I love when they finally called him out. Like, are you pitching us right now?
Yeah. Well, Jeff said he was going to invest. No deals. But even that, like they're all in a room. Like I said, like it's almost like they feel obligated to get together because it's the only, like, they probably yearn for some sort of peer or social interaction, but they're all they're just so screwed up that's even at the person that would be your peer, they just aren't.
That was actually, well, there was that, but there was also an element that I actually felt resonated with me slightly, where it's like, I love being with people that I like, but you still sometimes occasionally get that social anxiety of, I don't want to go do it. And like watching those moments of each of them, like, oh, it's been so long. It'd be so good to hang out with them. It's like, you know, like we've all been there. Like totally. That was honestly the most relatable thing, the only relatable thing that the fucking 4 of them like ever actually exhibited in the whole fucking movie.
Well, yeah, totally. Like I can see that one, especially, and then the animosity, like being like nervous to tell the other person in the group that the other person's coming, and like hoping that we're still gonna hang that night. Like that was
like, are we cool? Are they cool? You know,
the thing that hit me watching this movie is like, you know, the world is falling down around them or falling down in the distance while they're at the Mountainhead, and they're like, they fall into this whole, well, you know what? We could start just like taking over the world. And I was like, of course, that's where your mind goes. You horrendous piece of shit, right? Like you just, horrible.
Let's topple Chile. Was it Chile or Argentina? Whatever it was.
Argentina.
Yeah.
You'll be the king of Argentina. And like, of course, and then like, it's like these idiots, like they're just so disconnected from reality that they actually think this is a possibility. And then they're starting to talk, and then they get, the movie gets you, and you're like, wait a second, the world is kind of fucked. They might be able to pull this off. Like,
well, it's like on the one hand,
and now I'm sad.
It's like, Yeah, could they just decide to topple Argentina? Honestly, maybe. Or like pick country, whatever. Like it doesn't have to be Argentina in real life, but like because that was when they chose the move. But no, you Soup cannot run Argentina. Not even as a figurehead. Right. Not even as a figurehead. You specifically cannot run Argentina. You're just some random fucking semi-billionaire from the U.S. Like you're not running Argentina. Like that's not how that works.
Yeah. But what I also love,
like, could you run Luxembourg? Like, yeah, sure.
I love how they were like getting into that, and they were like, oh yeah, like we're gonna do this, and then all of a sudden the water's not working, and they immediately go to paranoid of like, oh, people are gonna try to kill us. There's a lot of windows. There's an awful lot of windows around us right now. As if
anyone gives a flying fuck about them and the fact that they're there.
Right? They're so self-important. Oh my goodness, it was a really unsettling watch.
Oh yeah.
But it was,
and for different reasons, depending on what part of the movie you were at.
Totally.
When we eventually get to the idea that the three of them are going to decide, not because we don't like him, we like him actually, but we have to kill him. We have to kill him. We don't want to, but we do have to. Yeah, there's no other option.
Applying first principles thinking to killing another human being in the room, and then the amount of times that they pulled on that, I was like, stop it. You're making me want to vomit.
Them bastardizing and, like, frankly, like, abusing verbiage, like, sentences, like, actual real thoughts and sentences, like, it was personally offensive to me as someone who has a fair amount of regard for the power of words.
Of sophistication.
As someone who has a reverence for the power of words, why the phrase, I'm wary of meringue, matters as a sentence. I was deeply offended by some of the ways that they bastardized some of these sentences and expressions.
Yeah. Man. You know what was killing me too is like I feel like they frame it where what's his name? Where Jeff's software could rein it all in and balance out the scales, right?
They framed it as they would be irresponsible to not kill him because he wasn't seeing the obviousness of their plan.
I was thinking as on the whole picture, like the way that the movie's framed is that like Jeff could actually be the savior because he could rein in this thing that's happening with Tram, but Jeff is he almost has humanity, but he doesn't, and like
again he was performing humanity.
Yeah, am I humaning?
Yeah, he was humaning. I will say, I actually think it was kind of clever in the way of, I kept waiting for them to yank the rug out from underneath, that where it's going to be like, oh no, he's like doing this all for show. And to be fair, there isn't actually a good audience for him performing humanity, because he's not doing it for their approval or benefit. In fact, he realizes that it continues to piss him off. Like, there's no other person he's trying to impress by, like, look how, like, empathetic and human I am.
Right.
That was the only piece of it that was holding me back from wondering whether he was, like... I mean, there was always a level of cynicism to it, but he was, like, saying enough of the right things where it's like, if he's doing this for show, who is he trying to show?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was a question I did ultimately end up having. It's not for any of the other their benefits. I mean, maybe it's a little bit for Randall's benefit because of the whole mentor relationship there. But
doing what though?
Like where he kept like mentioning like this is fucked up because all these people are dying, or this civilization's fault. Like, he's not doing that to impress any of the three of them, really.
Right.
So if he is doing the quote unquote performative humanity, well, who is he performing for?
Well, I think that I think it's for himself. I think that he's trying to, like, well, I have to go through these motions to justify my actions.
So it's more of like a recursive,
yeah,
I'm doing this, even though I don't believe this, I'm doing this so that I can continue to delude myself that I'm the type of person who would believe this. I guess, I guess I could buy that to an extent, yeah.
That's where I got, because I think for a moment in like the early stages, it seemed like he actually might be the one with a conscience who was going to...
No, I think you had it right. I think he had a conscious.
He had a conscious who was going to like do the right thing. But like the minute that he was like annoyed at how the other people were operating, like to suck it up and sell the thing so that it actually can correct the problem, like taking yourself out of the, like you're no longer in control of it. Like it became a selfish thing again. I was like, well, I don't want to give it to him because it's him. Not like if this is the only way to save humanity, he didn't really want to do it because it's him.
But
and,
even
like, the pettiness of it.
But even that though is falling into the trap of the flawed logic of no. The solution is you take Tram back offline until you fix it. Not you strong arm someone else into giving you the tech that's going to allow you to fix it without actually having to do anything. Yeah. You're just going to throw a money.
But the other guy is so delusional, though. That's never going to happen.
Sure, but why should that be like Jeff's responsibility? Like that
because I think it is. Because it is. If you want to be the only person with a multi-billion dollars with like some semblance of humanity, it does become your responsibility because there's only so many of you. So it is on you, I think.
I don't know, because the dilemma then, if you can ping pong back the dilemma there where it's like, well, if I give him this, he's going to find a way to fuck this up too, though.
Oh, but there was a way.
He's going to find a way to bastardize this thing that is actually like a good thing.
No, but I think there was a way to give it to the company, not through that guy.
Well, he did. He was trying to get the board to vote him out.
Yeah, and they could have pulled that off.
They were about to until the two of them broker a deal after everything goes to shit, which is actually great. It was such a great way to like write that at the end where it's like the both of them quote unquote love, insofar as either of them is capable of loving someone. Both of them love Randall, but they are very clearly sunsetting him,
right? So
that the two of them could now fight a continued titanic battle between the two of them for the next decade, even though quote unquote they love each other, they're best friends.
Yeah. Those two things so the two things that made me like, ugh. So Randall is Steve Carell's character. He's got terminal cancer. Calls his doctor an idiot because he's wrong. I thought that was so rich person of him.
Yeah, very Peter Thiel.
But the idea that like this psychopath that is like deteriorating society and the world as a whole because he's delusional, like actually like thinks that they could upload your consciousness in the next 5 years if you go full on into it, is now ready to let everything burn just so that he could live on forever. I was like, this is pretty good. This is like pretty much like it's like a Greek mythology. Like it's good. Like I liked the writing of that story. And then
it's like it's his own personal trolley problem.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting, and like, but there's like so many things that are going on in this movie that have like these swings of crazy emotions. There was a lot of things that were unsettling in this movie. The thing that I found the most deeply unsettling was the visitation from Vennick's child.
Oh God!
Now, Vennick is a character from The West Wing. What was this guy's name? Venice.
Yeah.
Vennick was actually Alan Alda in The West Wing.
Oh, was it?
Everything comes back to Alda. Anyway.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, and Steve Carell was in The Four Seasons. Wow, this is crazy. This is it's like the Kevin Bacon thing all over again. But yeah, when they bring the I was like, what? I was like watching it like I had to like hold my eyes open. I was like, I'm so uncomfortable. And then when he starts fighting the tree, I was like, what is it? Like, this is I don't want to be here.
I mean, listen, there was probably some pretty obvious. I mean, I think there was some Gates in the Randall character. There was some Thiel in there as well. The whole health thing is more Peter Thiel driven. Venice is just Elon. Like he's just Elon Musk. Like there's no like this is a combination. It's just literally Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Jeff, I don't actually know. I'm sure other people who are more plugged into this sort of stuff would. I mean, there's probably a part of Jeff that's supposed to like be a nod towards Sam Bankman-Fried. I think that actually that's actually probably definitely what's going on because I know that before he made this, he reviewed the Michael Lewis book on Sam Bankman-Fried. Jesse Armstrong did. So that's
Okay.
probably that definitely has to be a healthy dose of who Jeff was supposed to be. It's not the whole thing, but that's got to be part of it. The one who I struggled with was I don't actually know who Soup is supposed to be. Like, I'm sure there's probably a million examples of who he's supposed to be, but I don't know who they are.
So let's see. I'm gonna see what the So we've got, like you said, Venice is Musk, Randall is Peter Thiel, Jeff. While not directly tied to a specific real world figure, his role reflects the broad attention among. I guess they're not like, it's not Agus. It becomes a little bit more vague from there on, and then Soup is like the super is the like aspiring billionaire.
Okay, the reason I think that there's a dose of it does not graph 1-to-1 in the same way that Thiel and Musk do with Randall and Venice, but Sam Bankman-Fried, the whole thing with him was that his effective altruism was supposedly his guiding principle on like all the crypto stuff that he was into, and that was definitely there was a reflection of that in Jeff. This whole idea of that he's quote unquote doing this for the right reasons.
Sure,
but it definitely doesn't fit directly. But like there's
it's not definitely a 1-to-1. So it's just like and a peppering of everybody else.
Yeah,
like becomes Jeff.
Yeah, because you could also see some bit of Jeff that was also pretty similar to oh my god, I can't believe I'm like drawing a blank on his name, but the Jeremy Strong character from Succession. Like there was a bit of him in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Who like we're talking about like deluding himself that he's like a better person than he actually is.
Right.
And like, although unlike what the fuck was his name?
In Succession?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Right? Like that shouldn't be happening. There's Connor. There was Shiv. There was Logan.
Seriously?
There's Tom. There's Greg.
Oh my god.
I can't think of
this is
Mark. I can't think of his name or Kieran Culkin's name actually.
Roman,
that's right. Romulus.
Romulus. Kendall.
There's a little bit of Kendall, except that Kendall fails at literally everything, and Jeff was very successful in creating that program.
Yeah. After poaching. The thing I was curious about, I thought about this after the fact. Like, this was one of those like 3 days later thoughts that popped into my head, which was, does Randall want to kill Jeff if Jeff doesn't end up becoming worth more than him? Would it still play out the same way?
Yes, I think so, because specifically
it's the 5-year thing.
It's that he, because he doesn't say it for that reason, because he didn't actually tell any of them that he's dying. But he specifically references the fact that he's standing in the way of this digital future.
Right.
And it's not because of he gives a shit about how it helps anyone else or even any of their companies. He's looking for the only lifeline that is going to keep him literally alive. Like a literal lifeline. Yeah. And killing him to get the company for Tram is the only way that they have the 1% chance of reaching the timeline where they can upload his consciousness before he dies. So, yeah, I don't think it mattered what he was worth. I don't think it mattered what version of their relationship there was. I think once he irrationally, quote unquote, stood in the way of him surviving in whatever form, he was always going to go in that
whatever form.
Well, because I mean, come on, listen. I mean, Zuckerberg's doing the whole fucking meta thing. That's at this point, like, what even is that? Like, when did they start that whole meta thing? Was that 3 or 4 years ago now?
Oh, what, the rebranding?
No, not even the rebranding. The metaverse thing.
Oh, I don't.
Like, I haven't seen or heard anything about that in years.
Yeah,
and they were acting like that was something that was going to be like basically Ready Player One by now.
Oh, they're still on there.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
There was an unsettling. I'm going to paraphrase like a quote in passing that like I feel like from like maybe the past 6 months or whatever of like, well, you're not going to need friends when you have your digital friend.
I did see that,
and I saw it. I went, ha! And then I went back to doing what I was doing. It
was actually worse.
Like, you're a sad, sad little man.
I saw that, and then I decided to just keep living my life.
Living my life.
It was actually worse than that, right? It wasn't even like you won't need like friends. It was like you don't have friends and you don't know how to make friends, this is how you will have them.
You need this because you don't have any friends.
Yes.
You loser. Yeah. It was a little rough. There is something though. So like to pull back for a minute, like to the actual like making of this thing. And you brought this up last week or last episode when we were talking about like potentially doing this movie, the turnaround time being like bonkers, and the fact that like it's this good.
It's good.
It's just
if you're listening to this episode, if you're still here at this point, don't take the fact that it's like a 5.5 on IMDb. I'm pretty sure that's like review bombed by Elon Stans. Like that, there's no way. Like, I'm not saying this is like a movie that should like win Oscars or anything. I really enjoyed it. It's an enjoyable, interesting movie. If this is any way, shape, or form your cup of tea, if you enjoyed Succession, you will not enjoy this movie.
No, there's no way.
Right?
There's
like,
no way.
And like that show was
it's just more of that. It's just more of that high.
It's just a concentrated dose of that, right?
Yep. And it's so. I have the timeline here. I think this is accurate, but written in January, filmed in March, released in May.
Yeah, from what I heard, it was like a 4-ish month turnaround from starting filming to release. Yeah, and like again, the only way that this is possible, like the whole movie is shot inside of that one house, like which is probably just a conjunction of sets, but whatever. There's like a couple of sequences early in the very beginning, like I mentioned last week or last episode, Free Fire style, where it's like the people like going to the place, and then when they get there, they went out in the snow for an hour. Which they've probably filmed that all in one day. The whole movie probably took them like 10 days to shoot or something like that.
Mm-hmm. God, that disgusting scene of them writing their net worths on their chests with the lipstick and shouting what they desire out, and then, but then some of those things being like, "Yo,"
yeah. Again, not surprising that the people who are performing humanity were saying fairly inhuman things.
So the movie, like, well written, like incredible dialogue, really fun, really well executed, and then on top of that, to have so many ridiculous, funny things happening, just like really like it's got a little. There's a little something for everyone. I don't think I've ever laughed so hard during an attempted murder.
Yeah, well, because that was the thing where it's like, okay, they start talking about killing him, and it's like, where does this get derailed and what's going to happen? Oh, no, they're legitimately going to try to kill him. And of course, they fail at it.
Try to push him off the balcony.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that was going to work if the three of them actually did it.
That would have been, that would have worked.
But like the two of them chickened out at the last minute.
But then, oh my God, the whole trying to smother him and being able to clearly hear him saying, like, yelling, "What are you doing?" Like, what are you doing? Because he's not going to suffocate. Bowling ball him. And then dropping the bowling ball on the pillow, not doing anything.
Let's hold him down. They're not holding him down.
These idiots. And it was just so funny.
He tried to defend himself with a safety razor.
Oh my God.
Chasing him through the house, locking the locks from his phone, like trying to track him with the phone. He's hiding in the sauna. You can very clearly see him in there.
Hides him in the sauna, and then they're pouring the gasoline, and he's scooping it onto the doors.
Yeah, there was a part of me that was like, I really want one of them to actually light the match, and all four of them are going to die because all three of them are doused in gasoline,
covered in gasoline. There's
no way that them trying to smoke him out and kill him was gonna not end in at least one of the three of them being lit on fire.
And then to the little cherry on top of this ridiculous Sunday is the brunch the next morning, and like them all like rolling their eyes at like, okay, I guess he's gonna come in the room. This is gonna be awkward. And it's just like, are you serious right now? And
like them like rolling their eyes like at him and like, ugh, gross, ew. And it's like, you tried to kill him 3 different ways. Like, actually, not thought about, not like, haha, this would be funny if, no, legitimately, we're this close to lighting a match with the gasoline in the room. You actually were actively smothering him. Yeah, you guys actually pulled off of, like, you guys, like, veered up and pulled up, like, from actually throwing him off of the balcony. But the other 2 things you legitimately tried to do.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, you know what's funny? I think you had mentioned you compared it to Death of Stalin, and I almost feel like it's a reverse Death of Stalin.
Well, it was just like, the farcical, the plotting, like, how can you run and plot? Like, they're plotting each other's death and downfall. There was this idea of, this is really, really dark shit, but somehow we're also still laughing also.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but in Death of Stalin, though, you're 3/4 of the way into the movie, and you're having a good time because of the way that it's executing. And then the last 15 minutes, it gets really unsettlingly dark. And
yeah, I mean, when they lit
that
that guy on fire, I mean,
yeah. Whereas this, though, I feel like
which again, a
the
parallel.
atrocities that are happening are horrible, like up front, and it gets more silly and ridiculous as it goes. Like I feel like it goes the other way. And like, because those the last 20 minutes, I mean, when they're no longer like talking about just like overthrowing society and the world, and they're just trying to kill him, it's really funny.
Yeah, it shouldn't be, but
they're so bad at
it is.
And it's
well, again, it's these three idiots, like, basically 3 walking, talking Dunning-Krugers. And it's like, we're the smartest people in the world. Not only do we run the most important companies, technically we run this country, even though the president's going to call us and scold us like misbehaving little children.
Yeah.
And
him. He's going to hold for me.
Fucking getting reamed by the president and him coming back like sulking and like,
Dad got mad.
Yeah, right. Guys, Dad said we can't go do that.
Yeah. He said we can't have Argentina.
Yeah, they were going to topple government. They were going to topple this government. They were going
brownouts.
They were going to assassinate the president, their own president, not the president of Argentina, their own president. I did like the recurring bit of like them just keeping like the junta waiting on FaceTime.
Yep.
In Argentina. It's like talking around it because, again, it's like they don't actually care about that.
Right. Oh my God. This was a fun out of nowhere thing for me. I thank you for bringing it to my attention. I was glad we were able to pull this one together. What a ride. What a ride.
Yeah. I also, mostly out of left field, I heard about it like a week before I watched it. I was like, how did I totally miss it? I mean, part of the reason I missed it was took them 4 months to make it, but I don't even remember hearing about this in the post-Succession power vacuum of like what he was doing next. Because I remember thinking like, oh, I want to know what he does next. And I did not have any concept of this.
Any closing thoughts on Mountain?
So I will leave you with this more or less. Considering I didn't have my notes up, I actually had one of the things I looked up from this movie as my intro, and it was it was one of the absurd lines in this movie that's like a total non sequitur. Do we think the Western Hemisphere is meager?
You know what though? What you just said there, like that. Yeah, they did that whole fun like line delivery a few times, like with like the leading question, so that they could all get excited about doing something.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Again, that's a line that's like straight out of Succession.
Yeah, totally. I would also describe that entire cabin at Mountainhead as a closed.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
Awesome. Well, that's all for this week's episode of Flix in a Six. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you have a movie for us to review or nuggets for us to discuss, you can send those requests to flixinasix@thespinchune.com. Tune in next time for more movie and beer goodness. Until then, I'm Anthony Costanzo.
I'm Al Biolsi.
Thanks for coming out.